Welcome to the SHT Podcast. This podcast is created by superhumans, for superhumans, and anyone else who wants to look, feel, and perform like a freaking badass. Your holistic health journey starts here. Rediscover how we...
Yeah!
Paul, sit your ass down.
We're live. We're here to talk about our epic episode.
I know. This is really exciting.
Yeah. Well, especially since it's our second or third time doing it.
One of these days, Paul, we're going to run through it once and be like, it's so good! And then I'm going to...
Haven't we had an episode where
bring
we did
you
that?
like a dinner or something to be like, look, we did it once.
I just want it to be good.
No, I know.
I mean, they're always good. I just
No.
want it to be,
Just want to cover all the points.
I want to cover all the points, and then sometimes I feel really stiff. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes I watch and listen to some of the things we do, and I feel like, man, we're so... This is explicit.
This is explicit. I guess you can
borderline on that. But we're so like animated and funny when we get into our little grooves.
Yeah, that's true.
So, but yeah, there was a flow that I feel like we didn't have before. So today's going to be great. So today we're talking about...
We're coming back after falling off. That's what we're talking about.
And let's talk specifically about nutrition. I thought
Yeah,
about that
no,
too,
for
because
sure.
I think last time too I tried to encompass it coming back after falling off with anything, but no, we just went through our food basics.
Yeah.
So this is really about coming back with food.
We can touch base on like meditating and sleep and all of that later, but
Yeah.
I feel like we should really focus on food.
As we go through those foundations,
Mhm.
probably. Yeah.
Agreed.
So, and this is where I think most people have the most difficult time. Well, I don't know. Anyway, that's what we're talking about today.
Yes. We can go
Because I was
off on a
thinking
tangent.
meditation. Yeah, there's a lot of people that, okay, whatever. We're focusing on food today.
Yes.
So, I think something good to address in the beginning is like, what do we actually mean by falling off?
Because there's so much that can be a part of that. It's not just...
It's like a spectrum.
Exactly.
You know? So falling off, I would say, maybe that means you're having too much approved SHT items like the chips and cookies and crackers and
ice
gluten-free
cream.
pizzas and
Oh,
all
for
that kind of
sure.
stuff, or eating out sushi all you can eat, which I think can be a very slippery slope for a lot of us because we rationalize that this is okay because it's approved, you know. Which is why we always say you want to focus on being a real foodie to the core, 100%, and just use those things as very occasional deals. But sometimes I think some of us inadvertently fall into like doing that on a regular basis because it's just. And I find myself, I have to have conversations with myself going up and down the aisle sometimes and seeing like the Siete chips or something and be like, like I really want it, and most of the time I don't get it, but.
That's true.
So, too much approved stuff. Maybe this applies to me. If I don't remember to measure things out, I get in the habit of not measuring it out. So maybe too many carbs in the evening, even if it's from the right sources.
Yep.
Some of us are very carb sensitive. So let's say, so for some of us, falling off means we're just overdoing it with carbohydrates, even if it's coming from fruits and starches. That's usually my problem, and I get into a routine of doing it, not really realizing it, but kind of knowing it, kind of feeling it. And remember, our sweet spot is that kind of half a cup to 3/4 of a cup of each. And if we go beyond that, some of us may be fine with it, but if we go beyond that, a lot of us start to feel a little bit poofy and lower energy and stuff like that.
I do for sure.
Yep, me too. Cool. And then the third way would be just going off plan, like
completely
just eating the wrong
derailing.
thing. Sandwiches, whatever. I don't know what the heck that might
For a
entail.
day or for months.
Yeah, it could be a meal. It could be days and months, but then that's a good point because what we're saying here is if you have fallen off, that implies that you're off right now when you're listening to this.
Yes.
All right. So it could have been a day, a week, a month, or longer.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is you got to get back on it. So that's what this is all about. So I would say the first thing to understand is you are not alone.
That's true. You're not. Everyone does it.
Everyone does it, and there's a spectrum there, right?
Yeah.
So the way that I eat and do things relative to someone starting out may seem kind of perfect.
Yeah.
And it should be because I've been doing it for a long freaking time.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's like, everyone falls off. I went through my phase in the very beginning of having Strauss ice cream in my freezer all the time and like just doing all kinds of different crazy things. And I had to learn. And the only way that I learned was by making these having these suboptimal moments and then like wanting to be better and do better, know. So, but we all go through it.
It's true.
I mean, you do too, right?
Yeah.
Or are you relatively more perfect than me? I don't know.
I would say I'm only relatively perfect because I've fallen off of every other program in the book.
That's a good point. Yeah, I remember you saying that before. Like, you're pretty good with what we do now. Maybe you just overdo carbs or something like that.
Exactly, yeah.
But you have experience with other programs where you completely fell off.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's contributed to this.
Yeah.
You know, it's helped me stay on track with this because this is less neurotic than everything else I've tried. So it's a lot harder to fall off of this than it is everything else.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
People like you do great in the SHT because like people like you are like, you know, I've done it all.
Yeah.
You know, and I have the diligence. Just tell me what to do. I just need the right thing. And
that's exactly
plug that
it.
in and, Okay. So first of all, you're not alone. Yep. Everyone does this. Nobody is ever perfect all the time. And that becomes relative. The more that you do this, the earlier in your journey, obviously, the more mistakes you're probably going to make, and the more you're going to learn. And then as time goes on, the better you're going to get at it. And then your relative falling off is going to be not anywhere near what it was in the beginning, and that's perfectly fine. This is where we have all our learning opportunities. And that's another thing that I want to say is going off contributes to learning and wisdom and evolution. We have to have these ebbs and flows and ins and outs because this is where your true resilience happens. It's like, it's as if the more times you fall off and decide to come back, the better you get at coming back. The more that you're strengthening your capacity to come back. So in a way, it reminds me how I teach meditation. It's like every time you notice yourself thinking and decide to come back, some people get really frustrated if they have a lot of thoughts. But no, the reality is that's every one of those is a teaching moment. It's like a repetition in the gym. So every time you come back, just be thankful that you've noticed that you're off and you want to come back, because when you come back, you have just done a repetition in this coming back realm, and you strengthen your capacity to come back. So it's like the more that you fall off, in a way, it seems counterintuitive, the better, because over time it's not going to happen as much because you get stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. So it's all good.
No, that's true. And don't be too neurotic about it.
Yeah.
Like, don't be hard on yourself if you've fallen off. And then don't be hard on yourself on the time it takes you to come back.
Yeah.
You know, just work on it. It's progress.
Yes.
Progress.
And you can have this conversation with yourself when you're in the middle of it. Like, this is building my strength and resilience.
Yeah.
And then another thing that I think is important to understand in this whole concept of you're not alone is that contrast clarifies. Do you know what I mean by that?
No.
Okay. Do you know what I mean by contrast?
In this realm,
I'm putting you on the spot with questions sometimes.
I hate when
I never know what I'm going to get.
I'm like, no. What are you trying to say?
So contrast clarifies. What we mean by that is when you are in the funk, and it doesn't help to hear this when you're in the funk, because when you're in the funk, you're in the funk. You want to get out of it,
and
right?
you're not in the mood.
Yeah, you're not in the mood here. But the reality is that when you're in the funk, you don't want to be there. And so you have this contrast of where you are and where you want to be. And that contrast clarifies what it is that you really want. So if I'm going along and bebopping along and everything's going great, I'm kind of like bebopping.
I'm sorry, that made me laugh. If I'm bebopping along.
I saw you start to smile. I was like, what, did I say something wrong? So if I'm cruising along and everything is relatively good, you know, like it's like there's not a whole lot of wisdom or learning that comes from that, right? But when I fall off, like I have this this idea of where I want to be, and then I think more and more about where I want to be, and so I start to clarify what it is that I actually want. So so we're going to give you some tools today, and these tools can help you get better than you were before falling off. Because if you're just like even keel, then there's really no evolution or improvement there. But when you fall off, you come back stronger and better. So contrast clarifies. When you're suboptimal, you get clear on what you don't want because you don't like the way that you feel, and you focus on what you want instead, and so you start to create this really clear picture about what you want. Okay?
No, and that's so powerful because when you do fall off, like I guess I could give an example. 18 months into SHT, I was completely perfect. Like never had a piece of bread, never did anything. I was just on track. And then we went out to Disneyland. It was an occasion. I was like, okay, you know what?
Let me guess, you had a churro.
No. I had a cream cheese stuffed pretzel. And I was like, okay, I'll try it. And I took a video of it too. Actually. And I was like, this is my first time eating bread in like 18 months. And I took a bite and it was so good.
I was going to say, it sounds really good.
I was so fearful that I would completely derail. Because I've done it in my past. But because I've had the, I guess what you can say is just the practice of, the past experience of falling off and coming back on, I was spot on the next day. You know, and that's exactly what you're talking about, is just building that resilience and coming back on. So your fear just kind of goes away. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's super powerful.
Yes, that's a good point too. You're going to get to a point to where, because I know there is a fear for some people when they fall off that, oh my God, am I going to be able to come back? Do it, like I'm in it, Yeah. I remember that kind of, right? So yes, there is a point to where you get to where you know that if you decide to do this, it's not going to last. It's a one-time thing. Like you plan for it and it's a done deal. Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
So cool. All right, so I would also like to go through, I hope this doesn't take too long, but I think we got time for it if we're trying to keep this around 30 minutes.
I think this is super helpful.
Okay, cool. So I want to refresh us on some of our values that I think pertain to coming back. So remember our values. We have a whole podcast and post on it, which I think is amazing. But we're just going to highlight the ones that we feel like are relevant right now. So we're looking for freedom, ultimate freedom. Freedom from food, freedom from being neurotic, and also freedom from being hard on ourselves, because all of us have been too hard on ourselves for too long with all this stuff, right?
Yes.
So give yourself a break. It's okay, right?
Yes.
Remember we said we accept everyone. We accept the misfits. We are the misfits.
We are the misfits.
We are we're the rebels. So that means that we accept the people that can't get it right all the time, because none of us do. You don't have to be perfect to be a part of what we're doing. We are human beings.
Welcome to Earth. We are not perfect.
Welcome to the SHT.
Right?
Shoot. All right? Hey, be careful about snorting into the microphone, right? There's probably going to be some, distortion. And then simplicity and elegance, everywhere that we can get that, right?
It's so simple.
We want simplicity and elegance. We want something that is manageable and doable for a lifetime, and that includes accepting yourself with your ups and downs and ins and outs and suboptimal moments, right? We have to put ourselves first and make our personal health a priority. So I think this is relevant, especially if you're in these situations with friends or family members that contribute to your derailing, because you feel the pressure of wanting to conform, or it's too awkward, or whatever, the turbulence associated with doing your thing and they're doing, but you have to just have this attitude. Like this, I have to make myself happy and healthy so that I can be better for everything and everyone else that I care about in my life. So, we're all about constant learning and experimentation. We've already touched on that, right? So that's one of our values. So this is part of how we learn, is having these suboptimal moments so that we can actually grow stronger from it. It's all about enjoying the journey and the process, and this is a lifelong journey. There is no final destination, and we're going to have these ups and downs and ins and outs, but what you're going to find is over time, your trend line, just like in, what do you call that in the finance world? You see the stock market thing, it's up and down, but then the trend line's always going up. Your trend line's always going to be going up. Patience, love, and kindness to yourself and everyone else as you go through this process, and learn and understand that whatever it is you're going through, we've all been through it, we're all going through it, we all have these episodes, and it's all good, right? Bring some compassion in for other people and for yourself. And then we've already touched on we're about making this work in a modern lifestyle. There is only feedback from the suboptimal moments. This is going to make you better and stronger, and better is better. And so if you're doing better than you were before, even if you're still having these suboptimal moments, it's all good, because you're still improving. Okay? Cool.
Yeah. So let's talk about what to do if
what to actually do. All right, so now that was the preface leading into, this is our humble take on what we want to do to get back on track with the nutrition. And this is stuff that I've been using with private clients, but I've never really put it into this structured format, and I think it's really awesome. So tell me what you think as we go through it. All right. So number one, you want to acknowledge and accept it and learn from it. All right, so you're in it. You want to change, and you need to sit down and think for a moment. And I would really break out a sheet of paper and just try to think, what was the situation that led to the cascade of events that got you to where you are right now? Where was it? When did it happen? And is this something that might happen in the future that you can somewhat plan or predict for? All right, so everyone that's been off or is off can track it back to that one moment, that one decision, that one food item, meal, party, whatever it is that you want to, that it is. And if you can identify that, then I think that's going to be really beneficial, because now you know that you need to look for that situation in the future. Or that moment, or that weakness, or that whatever it is, right? Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, I agree. Completely.
All right.
And there are some moments where it's, and I know you're probably going to get to this, but where it's engraved in us You know what I'm saying? What? Where it's like it's been a lifelong thing.
Yeah. That's why this is so powerful. You're saying like do you have an example or?
I mean, like since childhood. Yeah. You've had an issue.
Exactly. So like I visit with people on all kinds of different things. That's why I put in my description like life coach. I don't like that term, but we end up talking about some really deep stuff in here. Yeah. And especially the food, because the food brings up a lot of things. Like borderline eating disorders sometimes, which I think we all have eating disorder to some degree. We're on the spectrum of it, but that's what's great about this journey is you are bringing to light things that you need to work on and deal with to make yourself a better person.
1000%.
Yeah. So acknowledge it, accept it, and this is part of this also implies you have to be really honest with yourself.
Yes.
And real about it.
You have to.
And not rationalize. You have to sit down and say, okay, I'm in this funk. And what was it that led to this?
Yeah.
And this is just you having a conversation with you. You're not like publicizing this or anything.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
So that's the first step. Second step is to do a little bit of, because that sounded kind of harsh.
I mean, but it's...
But you want to be real.
You have to. You have to be honest with yourself. Yes. This isn't something that you're shouting over a megaphone and saying, hey guys, like this is what I've been through. No, talk to yourself, you know?
All right, being real. Second step would be a little bit of emotional damage control. So... and this is difficult when you're in the funk to talk positively to yourself. Yeah. But you have to do it because it's. I think I don't know if we were talking about this a while ago while we were recording or if it was before it, but like it's easy when things are going great to be really positive.
Yes.
It's easy, but oh yeah, my life is great and I'm meditating and I'm eating right. You know, it's when you get into these funks that the real work comes in. I talk about this a lot with people that I meditate with and teach meditation to. It's so nice and easy to be really positive and share all these quotes and sayings and things when things are going your way. Like,
it's
oh my God, the universe is working miraculous one. And then you get into the darkness and it's like now is when you need to really be using those tools.
Yeah, you need to dig deep.
Yes. So do a little emotional damage control. When you're in the funk, if you're in the funk right now, if you're off, then this is the time to have these really positive conversations with you. So as a bonus, we have these little handouts and prints that we would recommend that you print out and just hang up somewhere so that you can read these periodically, especially if you're in the funk. So the first one, you cannot unlearn what you've learned. I cannot unlearn what I've learned.
No.
I'm only one meal away. Well, okay, cannot unlearn what I've learned means that you can't help but make better decisions.
It's true. Once you know this. Well, and once you dive into the SHT community and you know this information, you can't take it out of your mind.
You can't take it out of your mind. So first of all, it's inevitable that you're going to come back.
Yeah.
And you're probably doing a lot better than you think you are, right? So another one is you are only one meal away from being right back on it.
Yeah.
Or I would even say you're only one space away, because sometimes like fasting can be really extremely beneficial. So you're only one meal away from being right back on it, okay? And that is the absolute truth. When you make the decision to have that perfect next meal, everything starts to change and shift.
Yeah.
Right? All right, next one. Real food combined with nurturing natural space in between meals works magic. All right, so I don't care how far off you are or how bad you think you've been or how crappy you feel. Get your next meal right, nurture space in between meals, and that will clean things up. And I promise you, you are only 1 or 2 days away from being back at your most optimal feeling self. And I know this for myself too. I have a weekend, my suboptimal, I've mentioned before, I'll go out with the guys, have a couple of drinks, more than normal or something like that. And then maybe I'll overdo the carbohydrates because I lower my inhibitions, and it sucks being in the funk and feeling suboptimal. Even though our suboptimal relative to like the standard American population is probably amazing, I know that like all I need is one day.
I was having this conversation with Kim the other day. Yeah. We had her over for dinner, and she was like, "I don't know why I get so mad at myself because we're eating whipped cream and berries right now." And I told her, I was like, "I know it feels like you're eating a tub of ice cream, but when you look at the general population, a few berries and some whipped cream, you're so healthy. You're doing just fine."
That's right.
Oh yeah, we all get hard.
Probably being hard on ourselves.
Oh yeah.
So, but it's very comforting to know that, like, regardless of where you are on that spectrum, you get 1 or 2 days under your belt. You're only 1 or 2 days away from feeling yourself again. Yeah. Right. Usually it's about a day for me. I mean, if I have a weekend where, like, sometimes we go on our camping trips, and it's a couple of nights or several nights of staying up relatively late, which relatively late for me is 9 p.m. maybe, but
that's true.
But having a few extra drinks, a little bit too much food or something like that, like even on the worst of those, like 1 or 2 days into the week, and I'm like, I'm back.
You're doing just fine.
Yeah. All right. And then, like we mentioned before, you are building cumulative strength, capacity, wisdom, and evolution as you learn from this process.
Yep.
Right? Another really powerful statement. Every time you catch yourself in this funk and make the decision to come back, you are strengthening your capacity to come back. So celebrate the fact that you notice you're in the funk, and then celebrate the fact that you have this desire to want to come back.
Yep.
All right? And then finally, every decision that you make can be a vote for the version of yourself that you want to be.
It's true.
Yeah.
And you know it.
Yeah. So those are some really positive statements: damage control, emotional damage control. You can print these out. We have a one-page handout that summarizes them, and then we also have big worded things like we do in our little social media posts that you can hang up.
Yeah.
So we think that would be beneficial. So back to our process, right? Number one, acknowledgement and learn from it. Number two, do some emotional damage control. Number three, think about what you want and visualize it, and I cannot emphasize how important this is.
Yeah.
You can haphazardly just make the decision to come back, but if you put some deliberate effort into this process, it's going to work miracles for you. So anytime you want anything, you see it first in your mind, whether you realize it or not. And that includes positive things and negative things. You know, you have an urge, a craving, it's a picture that pops up in your mind. But if we flip that into something positive, let's say I want to have a perfect back squat, right? I can sit here without ever spending any time under the bar and picture and feel a perfect back squat over and over and over in my mind. And when I do that, I'm facilitating a perfect back squat so that by the time I get under the bar, my body is already ready to do a good back squat, right? Yeah. And there's plenty of studies and research that show people that have been in severe car wrecks and you know, disabled and immobilized, and they have comparisons of people that visualize themselves walking again and visualize themselves doing certain activities and people that don't, and their recovery is just night and day difference, okay?
Yeah.
So if I can visualize what it is that I want as far as this eating process goes, I'm way more likely to make the right decisions in the right moments, all right? So it's like you're planting the seed for what it is that you want to do. So we have a couple tools here for you. So number one, I'd recommend mapping out an ideal day. We call it, the sheet is called My Perfect Day. And so that perfect day, you go hour by hour and you list out exactly what your ideal day looks like, right? That includes everything from waking up to jamming out to music. I'm thinking about my day. To coming here to doing the 5 a.m., to going on my walk and listening to the podcast, to coming back and meditating, to having space, to working on things. You know, for maybe for you, it's for having a lunch break, and then associated with each one of those things on an ideal perfect day, you can write out to the side how that makes you feel. Like, you know, what if I'm trying to get back on, you know, with my low carb or something, because we're going through a low carb phase right now. I have to picture myself going home at night, going in the kitchen with a smile on my face and cooking my food and getting to bed without having my fruit and my starches. And I can see and feel that, and I can see and feel how tight and lean it feels to wake up the next day, okay? So part of this is visualizing, you know, you going through a perfect day, and then also maybe using a little bit of how you want to feel tomorrow as leverage for doing the right thing in the moment today. And that's what we call using tomorrow for today. So, so visualizing an ideal day, and then also we have a little tool you can print out and look at a week and a month and a quarter, and maybe map out where is that hot spot or sticky spot that you encountered before that contributed to you derailing, and plan for it and acknowledge it, you know? So, I mean, women have theoretically every month something.
I can honestly, I would hope so. But I can contribute that time of the month for me being a derailing factor in everything else I've tried. To be completely honest with you, I would go 2-3 months into it and be super strong for the first 2, and then the third one, that time of the month would come around and I'd be like, man, I just really want this cookie, and completely derail. Yeah. But it's the same way here. You have to be super easy on yourself and know that time of the month is coming, and know when those days are, and be easy and kind to yourself, because I mean, right now are those days for me, and I am extra hungry. Yeah. And I know that. So I'll be kind to myself and have breakfast. I don't normally eat breakfast, but I will have breakfast and help myself get through it, instead of be mad at myself and neurotic and say, well, you should be fasting. Yeah. You know, you should this. Yeah. No, I have my food.
Allow myself to eat it. So I like that. So part of this planning, you know, for a week or a month or a quarter, That could include your monthly cycle.
Yep.
It could include family vacations.
Exactly.
It could include some work situations or some major events or some birthdays or something like that. Put it on the calendar, circle it, acknowledge it so that you anticipate it and somewhat plan for it.
Yep.
And then maybe, like you're saying, you get into it and you allow yourself to do something.
It helps you be so kind to yourself instead of beating yourself up. Because I feel like if you go down the kind path, it's easier for you to get right back on it. But if you're going down this path of being negative to yourself and overthinking it, then of course you're going to derail.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. No, I love that. So part of this is, thinking about what you want and visualizing it, mapping out a day, looking at a week, the month, the quarter, and predicting those hot spots in those areas. And maybe part of that is allowing yourself to be a little bit more flexible and a little bit more easy and either indulge if you know that you can come right back, or like you said, maybe you just allow yourself to overeat and just like
allow
be cool
myself
about it.
3 meals a day, allow myself 2, just be easy on yourself.
Yep, I love it. So, and then the third part of that is, so an ideal day, looking at your week, month, quarter to see what those events are, those hot spots. And then we've already mentioned use tomorrow for today. So we have a really good video. It's an oldie but a goodie, where it's like, this is how I have my motivation to do the right thing in the moment, is I am thinking about how I want to look, feel, and perform tomorrow to make a decision in this moment today, because that's how it reflects. It doesn't reflect in the moment. Like right now I want to beat John Nixon in the Open, so I'm thinking I got to be really clean now so that I can do really good at my performance this week, So in those moments, in those hot spots, in those sticky points, use tomorrow for today. Use that as leverage. Like how do you want to look, feel, and perform, and understand that what I do right now is going to contribute to that.
Yeah. I know this might be like, same topic, but I use yesterday for tomorrow.
Go for it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you mentioned this before.
I kind of do things through fear, and I fear feeling the way I did before, and I fear looking the way I did before, because I know I wasn't myself. I know I wasn't happy. So I look at yesterday and I go, you can't go back, don't go back. Like, let's get to tomorrow. Let's keep going, kind of a thing.
I think you're saying the exact same thing I'm saying.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's just flipped.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just look at the past.
And this is, if that works for you, that's great. But this is something to consider.
Yeah.
Whatever my unconscious mind pictures and thinks about, I tend to move towards that.
Yeah.
So the danger in that is, if you're thinking about the thing that you don't want, you're kind of moving towards the thing. Potentially you can move towards the thing you don't want. So maybe as an exercise for you to experiment with, if that works for you, that's great. To experiment with would be, because it's kind of the same thing. I want to do what I do today so that I have a better tomorrow, and so that I don't
go back to yesterday.
But I think it feels better to think about feeling tight and lean and clean and awesome and happy and vibrant versus not wanting to be bloated and
pudgy.
Whatever. So just if that works for you, that's great. But just in this kind of
not everyone
NLP
can go
realm,
through that.
We tend to want to focus on the things we want versus the things we don't want. But still, same point. I think it's the same point. We're on the same page here. Thank God.
Cool.
You're my co-host. Hopefully, we're on the same page.
Well, actually, I'm just kidding.
Hey, I edit. No, you edited actually.
No, I edited.
All right. So visualizing, so important, right? So under the visualization thing we just said, remember, visualizing something facilitates you doing it in the future. All right. You're prepping yourself for it, and we have 3 things: map out your perfect day, look at your week and month and quarter, plan for those events that are coming up, be easy on yourself about it, maybe give yourself a little flexibility, use tomorrow for today. All right. Then number 4, we need to address our areas of concern.
Yes.
Right? And this is going to be very bio-individual, very personal. Just a few things that I noted from talking with people and some feedback that we've already received. You want to make sure that you set your home up and your workplace up for success. Right? Cannot emphasize this enough. If you think you have the self-control to have like some approved items or off-plan items in your house, and you're like, I'm not going to go to it except occasionally, like, I think most people are completely wrong in that, right?
I'm
I have a hard
envious if
time
you
with
can
it.
do that, because I cannot.
Yeah, I can't either. All right, so if it's there, we are wired to eat. We're going to see it, and we're going to want it, right? And then you're having this little battle with yourself. So you need to make your home as spot clean with food as you possibly can, so that if you go off, it's something that you have to go outside of your home for, right? And then I would say the same thing with the workplace, because the workplace tends to be a place of weakness for a lot of people, because they're always bringing in like crappy food and stuff for lunches and snacks and things like that. Well, setting your workplace up for success means, number one, you're not having almonds and all this stuff out visible to see because it's going to trigger your hunger. And then also avoiding the areas that like tend to be problematic, like the break room, birthday things or whatever.
Yeah,
I mean, you just have to do what you got to do to be successful about it. What are you thinking?
I just had a vision of just go in, sing happy birthday and leave.
Or flip the table.
Flip the table.
Have you ever seen Major League?
Yes.
Where Charlie Sheen goes in the office and says, I got news for you, Mr. Brown. So you could do that.
Make a dramatic shocker.
Make a dramatic statement, it'd be good for everybody, but
you might get fired. Please don't do that.
Another addressed personal areas of concern would be addressing the family and friend situation. So I know for a lot of people, and I understand it's difficult, like you want to spend time with the people that you care about. Hopefully they're on plan with the SHT.
Yes.
But and maybe they know or they've been through it and they're not, they're off too. But you have to understand that, if you're going out and hanging out with them and going out and eating, going to the wrong restaurants and things like that, like you're just you're putting yourself in a really bad situation.
Yeah.
I mean, I can go meet people anywhere and I'm not going to eat crap no matter what, but I've been doing this for a while. So some people, it's very difficult to be with other people, especially if those people are like peer pressuring you into it.
Yeah.
Like, come on,
my
have
gosh,
a
those
little
people
bit.
are
You
so
never
annoying.
do this, like you gotta, like again, like we're trying to accomplish something here.
I'm not trying to be in a nursing home, buddy. Like you eat the pizza, I don't want to.
This is so important. This is a crucial matter. So you got to do what's best for yourself. And address this. I don't know how you address it. Maybe you just have a conversation with your friends and family. Let them know, hey, you know what? Like I'm all about hanging out. I love you guys, but I'm just going to do the right thing. Right? Don't take it as a sign of judgment or anything. I'm just trying to do what's best for me, and I love you. And I still want to hang out or whatever. Same thing with your family members. Sometimes I feel like people get pressured into doing the wrong thing. And it seems like the people that don't do what we do, it's almost like they have a jealousy that we're doing something right or something.
That sounds horrible, but
it does, but I'm just saying, like sometimes, and maybe they want to be where we're at. Maybe that's a better way to look at it, and I'm sure they do.
Yes.
So, use it as a learning opportunity.
Health. Everyone wants to be the healthiest they can be.
Without preaching, use it as a chance to educate. And you can always send people to our website, our social media, and get them empowered. I mean, people think we're crazy for eating the things we eat sometimes, but when you think about it, it's pretty damn common sense, especially once you go through our progression. So addressing the friends and family members thing, something else that's come up, and I totally relate to this, is being alone. And the difficulty of going home and cooking on your own, and I think that being a difficult situation for some people that are alone, right? I'm alone. I've been alone most of my life.
Should I put sad music in the background during this?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, cool.
But and I know that I seem very different and unique to a lot of people, and it's like almost like that's you. But I wasn't always like this. Like I'm a very sensitive.
Social sensitive.
Yeah,
you like to
all
be
that
around
stuff.
people.
It's like I've had to have conversations with myself to really embrace having time alone, and now I know, especially after visiting with so many different people across so many different types of lives and family situations and things, a lot of people, when they're with people all the time, they are starving for space and breaks and time alone. Like not a lot of time alone, but I think everyone has to get comfortable with being by themselves. And so I think some things that we can do to facilitate that is just have a different conversation with yourself. Like this is beneficial time for me. And when I go home to cook in the evening, instead of like playing, like you're saying, sad piano music and like thinking about being alone, like I come home and I put on like a book, a podcast, some music that I really like.
That's awesome.
I'll break out a glass of wine and I embrace the cooking process. And that kind of flows into this other sticky point for a lot of people, the convenience thing. So you need to fall in love with cooking.
Yeah, you do.
And cooking does not have to be complicated at all. I come home most evenings. We're going to do a video. We need to do this as a recipe one this week at Colby's place. I come home most evenings and I'll have just either some Bobar or some hearty vegetables, chop it up, put it into a skillet, put it in there with some butter, sprinkle some ground beef or some ground pork or something like that, salt and pepper, put a lid on it, and I mean, it just smells amazing, tastes amazing. It takes about 10-15 minutes to cook. It's the most amazing dish you've ever had. Handful of greens, a little bit of, maybe some goat cheese on it or something like that, and then some fruit for dessert. I mean, it doesn't take that long. It doesn't dirty a lot of dishes, but at the same time, this is time that you can use to be use some present moment awareness and be very mindful and embrace and fall in love with the cooking process, because you're doing something good for your body.
Yeah, and I mean, we embrace modern conveniences, so don't be afraid to use an Instant Pot, a crock pot, something. Because if you are busy and you come home to a busy house, a busy schedule, whatever, still use that, and embrace it.
Yeah.
So
look at it as something as positive time for you, right? Whether you feel like you're doing it fast or slow, but it doesn't have to be complicated. Play some music, have some wine, whatever your thing is, and make that, and then look forward to it. Make it an enjoyable part of your day.
Yeah.
Right, because you're doing something that is good for you and good for your body.
Yep.
And you can always invite people over to come and help you and join you and be with you and use it as a social situation, which is the way that we've kind of evolved using food in the past anyway, which is like a way to get together and celebrate and socialize and things like that. So also, we've already mentioned the workplace piece, but just understanding that, like, if the workplace is a difficult area for you, you need to make sure that you plan accordingly. Okay. Some other considerations: repetition is crucial. So we've already mentioned this before, but to make a habit work, I just want to reinforce this. To make a habit work, you have to do it over and over and over and over, and that includes this whole food realm.
Yep.
So it's not just about being perfect every day and doing everything right, everyday repetition. It's also the repetition that comes with falling off and deciding to come back on. So plan it in your mind right now that when you fall off, it's never a done deal. You're always going to come back. All right. That repetition strengthens your capacity to come back. Something that's worked really well with some of my recent clients has been habit stacking. So I learned this from a book called Atomic Habits, which I think everyone should read. It's really, really good. So if you're having a hard time, figuring out how to address getting back on with the food, maybe you stack eating the right meal with another habit that you already do.
Yeah.
And don't allow yourself to have that other habit until you have this first meal right, or till you have your dinner meal right, or something like that. So the way that would work is, maybe if your morning meal is the hardest thing for you to accomplish, well, what's something that you do every day in the morning that you really enjoy or appreciate? Maybe it's having a cup of coffee, right? Yep. So now, to habit stacks, you can tell yourself, I am not going to allow myself to have a cup of coffee unless I get that first meal right, or something like that. If we're translating that into something later in the day, maybe it's something like, I am not going to allow myself to have a glass of wine in the evening until I eat a proper meal, or something like that. So maybe thinking about what are some other things that you do every single day right, that you can do something nutrition-wise before it, and have an agreement with yourself that you're not going to do that other thing until you get it right with the food.
Yeah.
And by the way, for some people, maybe just getting that first meal right is going to be a big win, because if you get that first meal right, like, chances are it's going to give you momentum to make better decisions the rest of the day. So another thing that I want to make a big plug for is a daily meditation and mindfulness practice, because meditation, if you do it the right way, if you do it the way that we teach it, and just like, so we'll recommend some applications here that you can use. But if you practice every day and you sit and you notice yourself thinking and you come back to your focus, you're strengthening your capacity to be present, and you can use that with this whole nutrition thing, because if you have a craving or urge, you want to notice that craving or urge. And if you notice the craving or urge, you have a chance to work with it and maybe not go down that path, versus just having this craving or urge and then having this repetitive, like, it's just an automatic response to it, which is going for it, So meditation starts to cultivate this capacity to notice urges, to catch yourself getting caught up, and it really helps with this whole process that we're talking about here. So I want to make a big plug for meditation. Now, exercise. I think exercise is really important.
Vital.
Synergistic with food.
Yes.
So another consideration would be combine eating, getting back on track with food with committing to some kind of an exercise program, because they are definitely synergistic. So all of us feel better after we exercise, no matter what it is. There's an immediate benefit from how you feel, but then also that exercise helps you become more insulin sensitive. It helps you use nutrients and distribute nutrients a little bit better and different, and it just makes you feel good and look good. Yeah. And so combining those two things together might be something to consider if you're not already doing it.
Yes.
Something else that came up was another consideration, maybe reaching out to a friend.
Yes.
Or someone that maybe went through the progression with you before, that has also fallen off that doesn't like being off, but is having a hard time getting back on.
Yeah.
And maybe you can reach out and form this little partnership in this team, or maybe a subgroup or something like that, and hold each other accountable and start sharing with each other every day and taking pictures and things. And you can also post in the group. We've had people do that, post in Superhumans United. There is no shame here. Like, post and say, hey, I need help, y'all. Like, I need to get back on. Does anybody want to be my accountability partner or food prep partner or something like that? And you can even reach out to us, right?
Yeah.
Like, we'd be happy to help people. Anytime you want, you can come visit with us in the office, or set up an appointment with me. You can visit or set up something with any of the tribe members or group leaders, and everyone would be more than happy to help be your partner, or whatever it is that needs to happen to get you down that path.
Exactly.
Yep.
If you need to text me a picture every day of what you're eating, please do.
Heck yeah. I remember someone posted, who was it, Pam posted in the group about something, and they made a group especially for her in this one situation, you know. So there's so much love and support in the SHT community. It's ridiculous. And don't ever feel like, if you're off, don't feel guilty or bad about being off. Man, I was so proud. I'm not going to mention her name right now, but this one person that was with us years ago, and she came to this meeting and was just, we were both in tears, because she was like, I was just really scared about coming back, because I've been off. And it's like, girl, there ain't nothing but love here for you,
really.
So if you're in that spot and you're self-conscious about it, I understand how it feels to feel self-conscious about being off. In general, but I mean, as far as this community goes and this office, like, we are here to support you and love you, and that's all there is to it.
No judgment.
So, cool. So let's just refresh that again. All right. Okay. So, coming back when you've fallen off, remember, you're not alone. I would go back and listen to and read through our values.
Yep.
What to do? Number 1, acknowledge it, accept it, and learn from it. Make sure that you document what it is that made you fall off. Number 2, do a little bit of emotional damage control. We have some statements we think are really beneficial. You can print these out.
Yep.
Think about what it is that you want. Number 3, think about what it is that you want and visualize it. Map out a perfect day. Map out your month and your quarter, or week, month, and quarter, so that you can see where your hot spots are and plan for it. And like you said, you can be easy on yourself about it. Right? You can give yourself some flexibility, but just anticipate those areas, because you know they're coming. Number 4, address your personal areas of concern, whatever those are. Maybe it's setting your home up and workplace up for success. Maybe it's falling in love with cooking again. Maybe it's having that difficult conversation with your friends or family members. Maybe it's sharing our information with them. Remember, SHT, the number 4, life.com. Get them started with us. Maybe, just falling in love with the cooking process again. Did I say that already?
Yeah.
All right. And then number 5, other considerations. Understand that repetition is important. You can habit stack. We'd recommend finding a meditation practice. Always practice love and kind to yourself, and then reach out to a friend if you need help. Cool. What else?
I mean, we're here to support you. That's what we want you to know, is honestly, this whole entire episode is here to let you know that if you fall off, you're not alone.
Yep. Yeah.
All
right. That was great then.
Love you.
So give us feedback on this, and if it did not, I know it's beneficial, but if there's something else that you need or are looking for, give us some feedback, and we'll do another episode in the future that will enhance it.
More episodes, the better.
What I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right.
You know what I'm saying?
No, I'm saying. All right.
All right. You all have a good day. What do we do? Handshake? You guys can't see this, but we suck. Okay.
All right.
Bye.
All right, bye.
Thank you guys for listening.
Yeah, so remember, the purpose of this podcast is to support our SHT community and to be in your ear as a go-to resource for all things SHT.
If any of you have fallen off, if you need support, honestly, just come back and listen to some of these episodes. Get re-inspired, get re-motivated, and get re-engaged. If you're new to us, the best way to get started is by joining our newsletter at sht4life.com.
That's SHT, the number 4, life.com. And you can also find us on Facebook at Superhuman Transformation, and then on Instagram, Superhuman Transformation, which you're doing an amazing job with.
Thank you.
And then also Twitter, it's SHT, the number 4, life. I think that's all we got.
See ya.